Okay guys, let's go ahead and get started. I have to do a little bit of a cleanup here because things are all over the place. This is a lot messier than working on really small figures. Oh. A lot messier than working on really small figures. Well, I'll show you where we kind of left off yesterday. I did do some work on my own in the morning, not being filmed. Let's put these colors away where they go so we can find them again. And give myself a little bit of a room to operate in. Because there's some encroaching jokers around here. We may need these guys here. Okay. So where we left off yesterday, and I might as well just go ahead and put this stuff away as well. This is the front of these tanks. And I like this idea of having two you can work on. I really want to be working on one, but if it's not ready or something's drying on the glue, I have another one I can fall back on and keep moving. Might be something that I just have to let it sit there for 15 minutes or something. That's pretty easy to manage if you got something else to fool around with along this in time. While you're waiting for it. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're good now. All right. This looks different than normal. I wonder why. Well, I guess I will find out when somebody says something. Normally I'm able to write something here. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's get this pointed in the right direction. All right, here we go. So, yesterday we worked on a plastic soldier company, Sherman, one of these, and added some bits to it and did some painting this morning, and now we're up to this point. And I doubt the color is going to come out accurate on film. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm really pretty happy with it. So at this point, what we need to do is we need to detail the sandbags and the stuff that's back here. And then when that's done, we can put the decals. And I'm really looking forward to doing that. We're going to put a white star up here and probably a couple of them on the turret. So, and I'm probably going to have to make some attempt of putting a some wording back here, because American Tanks had a nasty habit of them putting the serial number, not the serial number, I forget what it's called. I think I want to say a license number, something on there. It's like a 7-digit number and it says USA on it. So we're going to do that. It doesn't need to look perfect, and somehow it's going to be dirty right over it. So we're going to dirty some of that up afterwards. So we got some tree trunks to paint. I think that's probably where I'm going to start. I'm going to start with these tree trunks. Let's get rid of this. And let's get the old wet palette out. These little pieces right now. Let's get the old wet palette out. This is a wet palette that the last time we saw it, it was busy doing white Huns. So we still have some black there. Let's I left this other thing connected so I have some light, because now I can click on this thing and we have another light source. So I can look and see what the colors are over here. Should be like a flat earth or something like that. Flat earth. That's what we're going to use for the tree trunks. And not the ends of them, but that's what we're going to use for the tree trunks. All right. Everything charging. Good. I think you guys have a chat box. I see it there, but somehow the display looks a little different than it normally does. So, which is weird because I can't even... Let me go back here. If you guys can send me a little chat message, I'd appreciate that. And that way I can check to make sure that's working right. It just doesn't look like you're even able to. And like I said, like to say before, I said I didn't even do anything different. So it's really annoying when you don't do anything different and it keeps changing how it's done. You know, honestly, the chocolate brown is probably the better color to do for that. And darker color on that. Yeah, obviously we're going to lighten it up some. It says refresh chat, but I don't see anybody able to chat. I'm not able to type anything there. I usually don't. I'm really not sure what the problem is. Okay, that hides the viewers. Okay, I don't want to do that. Edit your stream time and position. No. View it in a new browser. I don't want to do that. Well, it must not be working, or with Chinese spies are tying in. They don't want to give their position away. I do not see the chat box at all. There it is. Why wasn't it showing it before? Okay, there it is. Okay, I don't know why it was hidden from me. Okay. All right, now we're on. Okay, back to Shermanophobia. Saw my haul from Huracan. Nice. How many people show up for that con, by the way? Normally, a couple hundred is what I've been told. I'm not in the know. To be in the know, I'd have to be in some of the management of the con, and you don't want me to be in management. That's a good way for me to get burned out on my hobby. So I actually had something really interesting. I'll bring this up now that there's some folks on here. One of the things from the haul was a stug. Which, I'm sorry, a stug. Oh, I don't know if I'm ever going to get that right. And one of the things that I noticed about it was it had the muffler where the front of the tank was. It was glued incorrectly. So I was able to break this apart from epoxy. And I looked at how to do it online with epoxy, and they said use acetone. And it didn't work right quick. So I let it sit overnight and came back from work, and it debonded, and it's weakened it. And basically the way this was bonded was, I've never seen a model like this. It was a hole that was like this. It had the mufflers facing forward, so I wouldn't be able to do that. So I needed to debond it, and I didn't think I was going to do it. I did not expect for it to be in a hull piece. It's almost like a plastic kit, but metal. So we're going to have to take this epoxy off, this old epoxy, which has already been weakened. And actually it comes off pretty easy. So I'm actually going to mess with this. I just wanted to show it to you. I know I talked a little bit about debonding it yesterday, but it is after doing some ID, it is a Stug 3E, which is a shame that it's called Stug because I wanted to call it Stuggy because it's literally a Stug E. And the little 75L24 fits here. And I have no idea who makes this thing. You know, if people had pictures of all their stuff online, maybe we could track down who it is, but I don't know why they would make it in this many pieces. But we're going to work on this when we get to a stopping point where we can't go any further. But this was a pain in the ass to take apart. So we're going to epoxy it back on, facing the correct direction. And with the idler wheel in the correct place. Okay? And yeah, put that all together. Acetone, nail polish remover. It'll eat metal. It'll eat plastic things, but that's metal. All right. So, we're going to do the trunks. So I think this thing turned out pretty well. You guys aren't going to get the correct look of it. And this was the suggestion by somebody else to do it. So I figured, I'll try it. I didn't want it to be green. It's just the brown violet as the base. So we just did that, and then we added some dark sand. We did a brown violet base, and then we washed it with Agrax Earthshade, and then we dry brushed again with the brown violet, and then we mixed like half of the dark sand and the brown violet to do some highlighting, also in dry brushing. And then I mixed my own stuff with a small paintbrush and forced the shadows on some of this stuff. I drew some things in that should stand out. So we are going to do weathering. We're not doing oil stains. Actually, I don't mind the oil stains. It's the chipping that drives me nuts. The chipping is too much. It's a War Games thing, you know. To be fair, if I'm going to put chipping on vehicles, I need to put sweat stains on the soldiers. Lacquer thinner works great. Well, it's done. I looked at what I needed to do to dissolve the epoxy because I thought epoxy was a permanent thing, but I guess it isn't. I was fully expecting it to not work because it didn't work yesterday. But I let it sit overnight, and I had to pull on it too. It didn't just fall apart. Okay, a paintbrush that's worth a damn. Right. Okay, and the magic drippings, as always, we're going to need them. And do we have black that's workable? Probably not. So we're going to paint these details, including the rubber, including the tracks. And after all that is done, we're going to do the decals as soon as I find out where the hell I put them, because they showed up while I was working on the white Huns, and I just kind of tossed them off to the side. And even with me being pretty well organized, it still wasn't good enough. I think we'll start with that. Then we'll kind of start getting an idea of how this looks with all these colors. I'm going to take long enough to paint this thing to do chipping and stuff. Chipping's weird. Sometimes it looks okay, and sometimes it doesn't look okay. Same like if you're doing Africa Corps vehicles. I'm a fan of doing Africa Corps vehicles when they were painted gray. I don't like the overall color, like the darker. It almost has a little bit of red in it. I'm not a fan of that color, and it's hard to get the early vehicles done and look right. Did you use washes? Yep, we already did that. We did it last night. Didn't we? I think we did. Maybe I did it this morning. Yeah, Agrax Earthshade. No, I'm literally just following somebody's recipe, see how I like it, and I may alternate it from there. But I definitely want my American vehicles to be brownish, not greenish. I can't remember if I did it. I guess I must have done it this morning if you're asking me. AWI Hessians. Back when the Germans and the British were on the same side. They're on the same side now? I don't know. Well, we're going to do a lot of filming the next couple days. Assuming I have power. I'm not directly in the path of the storm, but I do live in a town that is run by Ewoks, so they do not like to cut down any trees, regardless of how close they are to power lines, and that's probably how we're going to lose power if it happens. Well, the King of England at the time was actually German. Okay. Isn't the King of England now actually German still? Got time for no kings. Interbreeding kings. Interbreeding as opposed to inbred. Must be why he went crazy. Yeah, no telling. Was he really that crazy? They did call him Mad King George, but I get mad frequently. Different kind of mad, huh? Yes, the current king is half German. The Brits almost had Russians instead of Hessians. I have a few Russians to paint. Just a tiny tad. Just a wee bit. Now, let's do the interior of the trunk. Something like this. How many tanks am I doing anyways? Well, one at a time. One at a time. I actually found the scenario from my skirmish campaigns that they need 5 Shermans for it. And I have 5 Shermans. 5 75mm armed Shermans, and I have 5 of them. So, I'm going to take things at small steps. I'm going to try to work on... I got quite a few things on the unboxing that are already pre-done vehicles. I don't plan on using them pre-done that way. I plan on repainting them, but I also plan on repainting those last. So, anything that I can use, could potentially use as is, even though I do not want to do that, is not a priority item to paint. At least that's kind of the MO I'm going with. Haven't played a miniatures game before the pandemic. That's a long time, man. Longest timest. fight this light. All right, let's do the sandbags. Roger B, you have your icon as a little fisting kid. I could just see him being a leader of a fire team. Get him. Get those guys. Yeah, I'm kind of prioritizing everything based on losing power. I think it's going to happen, only because these folks don't cut any trees down that are anywhere near power lines. It happens every time. So, like, I haven't even posted the pictures and the results of the DBA tournaments at Huracan. I'm not really in a hurry to do that. I was suffering for a week or so wanting to paint this, and I couldn't because I had to finish the Army for the convention. So, which, by the way, I was up till 5:30 in the morning the day I had to leave finishing. I'm not doing that again. If the Army isn't done like a week in advance before the show, I just won't even plan on, not even working on it. And I had something that happened at this show that never had happened before, and one of the wards got lifted. It's nowhere to be found. Luckily, they're like mega cheap. It's just annoying that the person that won one of the tournaments can't have his award for coming in first. And it's worse because somebody got a thrill out of doing it and they didn't get caught. Yep, I've never seen it happen before. Actually, it happened at Historicon one time. It happened in Historicon in 2018, I think. Yep. Power went on in the dealer hall. That host needs to be condemned. Let's mix more of this. I may need to get a little bit of an edge. I think I'm going to have to do that. Let me get some coffee. Be right back. Brandywine, another Germantown. Brandywine, never heard of her. I've played a couple AWI battles using modified DBN rules, which if you're a real big fan of a period, I don't think the DBX series of games is the way to go. I enjoy DBN, but I'm not a Napoleonics guy. So there's no way I could handle anything of Phil Barker's with World War II. It just wouldn't cut it at all. Way too abstract. And the idea of having, oh, it's a heavy tank. Well, which one? Oh, does it matter? Yeah. Is it a Panzer Is it a Panzer One? I was getting ready to say it again. Is it a Tiger One? Is it a JS2? Is it a JS2M? Brandywine is one of the largest battles of AWI. Okay. Not my period. I haven't played that one. I'm trying to think which one I played. Was there only one battle that had French in it? Yorktown? Yorktown had French in it, right? Were they in any of the other ones? What I don't understand is if Brandywine was a big battle of the Revolutionary War, why didn't you name an aircraft carrier after it? Because it's pretty stupid. What am I doing? It'd be pretty stupid to have a carrier named Brandywine. Just doesn't exactly go with it. Just south of Philadelphia. Okay. Oh, wise man once said, you want to say it or should I say it? I can't be into everything. We played the ambush. Is that Oriskany? Which I always thought it was Oriskany. I look at the word and I'm like, it just sounds like a Russian word. Welcome to Oriskany. End of the line, Oriskany. Enjoy your stay. Oriskany. Oriskany, I believe, was an ambush. If I'm thinking of the right one. That one was cool. And then we played, it wasn't Brandywine. And it wasn't one I was super familiar with by name, like Yorktown or Lexington or, Because the Continentals lost the Battle of Brandywine. I heard one time that Washington wasn't a very good general. I don't know what I think about that because, have to read more into it than I'm really willing to want to do. Hey, had a certain person died at Saratoga, they may have been a carrier called the Arnold. Look out! Launch the planes now! Yeah. Wrong Arnold. He was a dedicated leader who stood by his troops and inspired them. Okay. So he wasn't a great tactician. Any of you guys ever played Maurice? The rule set Maurice? I played it a couple times, and I don't know if it represents the period correctly. I think it makes a decent game. It's not user-friendly. You certainly have a lot of ways to skin a cat, but it's supposed to be for all 1700 stuff. From Lace Wars all the way into the, I guess, just before the Napoleonic period. 7 Years' War, War of Austrian Succession, War of Spanish Succession. All right, let's bring this up a little more. Never played it. Yeah, the problem about that period, and I don't necessarily have anything against the period. I don't have a love for it. I think the flags would be cool. I think it would be cool to learn about that stuff. I'd tell you right now, if I had to do it, I would do Prussia, Austria, and Russia, and then France. I'm not particularly interested in doing British stuff. Nothing against the British, but the British are dominant in other periods. But I don't have time, motivation for everything. I was real excited to do Victorian stuff and played the rules. And actually, Mitch and I played them twice. And we both liked them quite a bit because there's a game within the game. And the rules we're talking about is Blood and Steel. I just don't want to get into buying figures right now that I don't have. And I already had some of these vehicles. This is actually a vehicle I already had. And now I've got, seems like 80 more. So, but really it's probably just 50 more. But this is what I want to do. If I want to learn how to play anything, it's try to figure out how these rules work again that I haven't messed with in 25 years. Because this is my period. And I don't want to play a tournament anything anymore. Other than DBA, I'm fine keeping. I don't want to start, build an army with points and show up with something. No. I'll put the scenario together. I'll paint the stuff. And that's not looking half bad. Let's get some white out here. And although I feel like I should have some, and I do. There it is. And I forgot what the hell I was going to say. But we played it. We enjoyed it. I didn't think Mitch was going to be. Mitch really enjoyed it. Mitch really enjoyed how you manage your die rolls for initiative. It is kind of a game within the game. But I don't want to play any tournament games. I don't want to play anything that's point based. I don't care if they're unbalanced as long as as long as the people have fun playing it and it paints an interesting narrative. As long as it does those things. Let's do a little bit more white. I think we're on the right track, I think. And what I mean about the narrative is I'm going to learn how to use vehicles because I'm fairly familiar with these rules. We never use vehicles. I read about how they work, and if they won't work right, then I will change it so that they do, because it needs to be playable. But I got to familiarize myself with how this game works before I present it to other people, and then they have a bad taste in their mouth because I don't know what I'm doing. So you don't want people waiting, and it's just like if you get interviewed for something and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That's not a very good feeling, you know? I got no problem talking in public or to other people about stuff that I'm real familiar with because it's, you know, it's kind of what I do. All right, let me put my glass. I'm so damn close to it. All right, let me get... I think that's pretty good. Like the British on the peninsula. Okay, I think that's the right sandbag color. At least from here. The color I'm seeing, maybe not the color you guys are seeing. I think that's not bad. I'm not going to see a big change until I put decals on it. I'm really not. That's going to be kind of the... I used to know a guy who lived here in town talking about reenactors that was in Last of the Mohicans. I don't remember what his name is. I think his name was Mike. I don't remember what his last name is. But he's an extra. He says, oh yeah, I was in Last of the Mohicans. Here, play the movie. So he pulled out the laser disc. Tells you how long ago that was. And sure enough, he's like the first guy that got clobbered by Magua. Magua, there's a name I'll never forget. I tried watching that about a year ago with my daughter because I have really fond memories of that movie. And it's a cool movie. It's a sad movie, but it's a cool movie. And it just did not age well. It didn't age well. And a lot of it is like, honestly, what really was really noticeable is a lot of the scenes felt like they were filmed strange at angles that look very dated, almost like one camera like capturing everybody instead of, you know, those ones where you have a conversation between a couple people and it switches between cameras. It just kind of kept it all on one camera. It just felt kind of old, you know. You were in Gods and Generals. Huh. I didn't see that until much, much later than Gettysburg. I saw Gettysburg within 2 years of it coming out. Gettysburg's like, what, 93 or something like that? I didn't see Gods and Generals until maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And I'm not a Civil War guy. I'd be more interested in AWI than Civil War. Great soundtrack. I bet it is. Yeah. You've been to Gettysburg. Me? Yes, I have. I know you guys have been. It was cool. I mean, the coolest part was, I like the part where it said, okay, this is the monument, this 12th Maine, or whoever the hell they were, I don't know the regiments there, was from here to here, and this one was from here to here. So it's really cool if you're into that. It's just not my period. Okay, boxes. No. I'm not going to go look exactly what color box these boxes were. I'm going to assume that's fairly light color wood on those. Let's grab 20th Maine. I just pulled Maine out of my ass. I am not a Civil War guy, and never will be. Never will be. I don't know what the appeal is about the Civil War. I could see if maybe you had ancestors on one side or the other, or you had ancestors on both, or, you know, but my people weren't over here yet. Yeah. The thing I like the least about Gettysburg, okay, is that, I mean, Devil's Den was cool. Little Round Top was cool. The rest of it was like, there were so many things like, you see that over there? That's where it is. But it's like, forget those trees didn't exist there, and that tree was. There's too many things that you have to kind of squint to kind of see what was really going on. But it's just not something I'm ever going to war game. You know, it's not like if I went to Stalingrad or Kursk or, you know. U.S. field trip. This is what we're going to do. Medieval reenactor, not in a movie. You know, playing war games is what I consider reenacting. I don't want to dress in wool or, you know, camp. The closest thing I could see to doing reenactment would be like do one of those, the people in St. Augustine or whatever, do one of those conquistador type guys. But it's just too hot, man. I can't be into everything. They had one guy that was kind of his shtick there for a while, and I think the guy is like half Spanish or whatever. He doesn't have a Spanish last name, and he did a freaking great job. And even did a couple commercials for St. Augustine. He really knocked that out of the park. He had the right attitude. He was kind of an amateur actor too, and he would play Menendez. And one of the funnest things to do is fire off a flintlock musket while being in line formation and marching about. I don't know. I'd rather let loose at somebody with a Tommy gun with blanks. Got to be blanks. It'd be cool to incorporate that in Miles Gear or something like that. You know, not the honor system. Because the problem with the honor system is too many people out there have no honor. It's more and more common each day. People with no honor. Oh, you didn't hit me. Luke, who you guys haven't seen in a video in a long time. He's MIA pretty much, and doesn't live in town anymore. He does paintball, and I said, "Oh, that would be kind of cool." And he's telling me about the antics that he has about people cheating, and I'm like, "No, that would end. That you don't want me to be around cheaters. I don't do well with that. I would not do well with cheaters." But that reenactment really is what people think wargaming is, because I explain people, you know, the people that don't know what this is. What's your hobby? Well, I do historical war games. Oh, what do you mean? I said, well, we kind of play, you know, with historical stuff. I said, so, and their immediate thought goes into, well, what's the point in that? You already know who's going to win. And I'm like, that's not how wargaming works, but that is how reenactment works, I think. If you're playing a certain battle, but that's not how wargaming would work, because, yeah, that would be pretty dumb. One place I thought was pretty neat, and I want to go back, that I really didn't know anything about it, was St. Simon's Island. And I'll go back at some day and I'll do a video there. I plan on doing more of those, but honestly, don't get much of a chance to travel these days. But just like what we did on the battleship, I can't guarantee it'll be with Mitch, but you have a couple of sites out there that are pretty neat about history that I didn't know anything about. War of Jenkins' Ear, War of Austrian Succession. But that's why I do historical war games, because you'll go and you'll play a game and you want to know more about it. And you guys ever play that? I think it's called pub games. That it's almost like it's a war game that is like on a map, like a period map, that it's like canvas, and you move these units around, which all they are is like sticks. They're rectangulars. No, they're rectangles on this canvas map, and they make a few of them. I'm pretty sure they make Brandywine. I think Brandywine is the AWI game that they do, and they've got like Little Bighorn and Marengo. I'm pretty sure they have Waterloo. I know they have Marengo, and they look really cool. I don't know if they're any fun to play. Maybe they don't have dice. I'm out. Those small reenactments are just have at it and let a narrative play out. Well, I got news for you. I ain't wearing no wool in Florida. It's hot enough as it is already. There weren't a lot of horse and musket games at Historicon. Doesn't mean that people weren't into it. They just didn't have anybody put those things on. Somebody had made a comment on one of my videos, said, "Oh, I don't see any AWI games," which there was one. Not AWI, ACW, which there was one. Said maybe people were didn't want to get anybody upset about that. I'm like, that's the reason to play Civil War. Get people bent out of shape. Dude, man, it's history. Deal with it. Tank spams. Wow. Last March, I acquired a collection from a widow. Huge 3 Nissan Rogue loads worth and all Flames of War. Wow. You won't see another Historicon for at least 4 years. What elements did I use in my Hun army? Well, let's see. They have a cavalry general, 8 light horse, a heffalump, and 2 fast bow. And they actually did better than I thought they were going to, because they actually won a game. Actually, they won 2 games. They won 2 games and lost 4. And they were all, I could have won them. They should have gone 2 and 1 in each one of them. But, there's a thing called luck, and, light horse just can't, it's just too low a number. A 2 is just too low a number. And, I didn't build that army to play them in events. I built that army to do scenarios with Mitch's Han Chinese and Joe's Persians. As a matter of fact, they beat Joe's Persians. He also rolled terrible. He had massive pip problems. It can happen to anybody. All that craziness with the convention center and now the Marriott. Uh-oh, what happened? That's a nice venue. What happened? I wasn't aware of it. I went this last time. I thought it went really smooth. Fill me in while I go get more coffee. Last convention I was at, I met the actor who played Rifleman Harris in the Sharp movies. I've only seen, you mean the Sharp miniseries. I've only seen, I started watching it about 20 years ago and just didn't follow it. And I like Sean Bean. No weather. We got a little bit of gust, but nothing major. Doesn't a light horse support a light horse making it a 3? Yes. But if he's forced to flee, he dies. That happened to me one of the games. I lost one of them that way. Yeah, they just don't have a... Oh well. They need special rules and special scenarios. And that's what we're going to be getting at. In those scenarios, but I figured along the way, might as well run them in the event. My Hungarians did well. For the Hungarians. had a good time, but I also did not enjoy the last couple days of painting the army. So I will have the army done 1 week in advance, or I'm not going to play it. I'm just not going to be hating on my hobby so much, because I really did not want to finish painting that army when I wanted to do this. And this is taking a lot longer than it should, but it's typical. Problem with going to if I go to Historicon again, I'm not running anything, because I don't get to list. I don't get to listen to people talk. I don't get to whatever that's called. I missed out on seeing Lindy Beige and David Glantz, and I don't want to be committed to have to play stuff, play certain things, or be stuck to one place. And we drive too far to make that. And I have a feeling it's going to be a while before I go to another Historicon. I'm not due to go next year. I'm supposed to be traveling out of the country that year, and just don't have enough vacation days to do it all. So I'm scheduled to not go next year, but we will see. It's not my responsibility to run stuff up there. It's not my venue. And if people can't be bothered to travel 1 hour to go put things on, then why should I travel 15? Or even show up, this side. All right. That doesn't look bad. And we got 2 sacks. Let's give them a little bit of a green color to them. We only have a million different greens. DBA, unfortunately, is dead up here, to be honest. And you know what? We had the best turnout we've ever had in DBA at our show last weekend. I just haven't posted the stuff because I want to get this done. I've been wanting to do this for a while. I can always post if the power goes out. I can't do this if the power goes out. So it'll be up by the end of the weekend. If the suspense is killing you, well, then you should have been here. DBA is dead. There's a lot of things that are dead up there. Other than Art de la Guerre, everything else is pretty much dead. That's fine. They can play it. It might be a fine set of rules. I'm never going to play it. Nobody in my area wants to play it. It's too many troops. And honestly, it's kind of lifted. It's lifted from Phil's work. What kind of terrain do you have for that scale? Done. I've got like a little outhouse, and that's about it. We're going to change that. I may not be painting DBA stuff for a while. I mean, I want to get this off the ground, and I want it to be a good-looking game. We got people that watch the channel now. I see other people's stuff that makes me salivate. And there's so many 3D printed buildings that are really affordable. I mean, like $12 for a building that looks really good. And I want to get some. I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't have bought all these tanks if they weren't like not available in stores. Not these. I already had this one. The stuff that I picked up this weekend. If they weren't not available in stores and they're wanting to get rid of them, and I'm like, You know, when am I going to find 1/72nd scale tanks? And I got so many that I can probably get off my analysis paralysis and just jump in and start painting. I didn't think too much of this, and I think this is going to turn out just fine. You know? The only part that concerned me is with these vehicles is I don't have the experience painting vehicles. I've painted enough of them, but the problem is that I want them to look like my figures look, and that is like a what the F was that? It was like a transformer blowing. Hold on a second. Well, I knew that was going to get the daughter's attention. That's what it sounded like, a transformer blowing, but it's not one that was connected to us, at least. I feel like historical wargaming in PA is dead. What can we do to bring back historical gaming? Start another world war. Oh, wait. Look, all you gotta do is do what you do, and if nobody's interested in it, what are you supposed to do? Save the world? Yeah, I don't think it's gonna come back either. It doesn't bother me any. I just don't want the companies that make this stuff to go out of business. You know? Get these people that get into these discussions is we need to, how we got to grow the hobby, how we got to get women into wargaming, how you got. I'm like, look, you do what you do, and if people aren't interested in it, they aren't interested in it. I ran a game at a pub. We have a pub that's actually pretty cool here in town, and figured, hey, we just sit down, and DBA is supposedly a pub game, right? We sit down in the middle of it, and people were going to come up and ask about it, right? No one came up, except some 9-year-old kid that wouldn't leave us alone. No adult came by and saw, hey, that's some pretty cool figures. What are you doing there? Nothing. That's when I realized, F it. I mean, it's lost. We just enjoy doing what you're doing. And luckily, we have the internet where we can have people all over the world that we can communicate with and kind of keep each other company and stay on track. But that's it. You know, I'm not the messiah of wargaming. It's not my job. I didn't sign up for it. And Let me just give you an example, okay? Even more basic than wargaming, people that are into history. Now, but nobody's into history. I'll go to places and I generally don't have anything to talk about, folks, because everybody's just into, sports and, I mean, that's it. I mean, they just, because I'm perfectly happy just, hey, let's go somewhere and we'll talk about, World War II books, even if they don't do any wargaming. No, people just, you just got to do your own thing. Don't get discouraged. There's plenty of us around. We're just all over the world, And then if you do find out somebody is a war gamer, and you do play the same period, and you do play the same scale, maybe you find out he's a cheating asshole. It doesn't do any good. Yeah. 40K, you're not learning anything other than their fluff. Yeah, honestly, I think Warlord's just as bad. Because Warlord does the whole thing of, hey, let's make this game. Let's do it in a messed up scale. Like that naval game that they have. It's all like all their ships on a flip-flop in some weird scale that nobody does. It's not like they make 2400 scale. It's like what is it, 1850, 1800 or 1850 scale or something like that? And all their ships are on a flip-flop. They're on a really, really thick base. Ships that big shouldn't be on a base at all. You put little ships on a base just because they stand out. But anyways, this whole you got to use my miniatures or they're no good is just kind of like, when did that happen? When did that happen? So I live in a college sports town to the max, and there's not very many people here that have even remotely the same interests as I do. And we just kind of chug along, and fortunately we have this venue to at least interact with other folks that kind of get it. You know what I'm talking about. Because I don't get sitting in front of the TV and watching something and I don't make any decisions. The fun part is, it's thinking like, okay, I'll do, let me do this and tactics and maybe we'll try this. Oh, this didn't work, but just sitting and watching things happen, I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, let me put my glasses on, put this far away, see how I can, the contrast. I had a little bit of color there. Yeah. All right, we're going to do a different green. I got so many. Just like that, nothing doing. No doing greens here. It's kind of a doing green. Warlord Gain's gotten a huge ego and it's not warranted. You, sir, your ego is too large, sir. Thank you for playing. Please step off the stage. Don't get excited. It's your favorite sound. Or was that the hand sanitizer? This one is old here. I just don't like that attitude of you do it my way or you're doing it wrong. People ask me when I was born, I say the 20th anniversary of Operation Barbarossa. That's June 22nd, 1961. Yes, I never forget when that day is. I don't know why. Not my favorite sound. I think it's Rick's favorite sound. Oh, it can be everybody's favorite sound. You just have to hear it at the right time. Oh, call them like I see them. Barbarossa. Barbarossa 25. I still got my copy of that. Holy smokes. Nothing, bro. Well, that's good. That's a tenth of the bottle of a bottle that I never use. Need to buy a new one of those anyways. Barbarossa 25. And actually, the original rules had a little campaign in it, right? It was about that... what's that stupid defensive line that the Germans had that didn't work out too well? Siegfried Line. Like storming the Siegfried Line or something like that. I'm like, well, this is a shitty scenario because whoever the German player is, he doesn't have any vehicles worth of shit. They got like a Stug battalion. That's about it. I'm sorry, Stug. A Stug battalion. That's a lot of paint. Yep. Oh, well. Shit happens. Guess that's why I go to work every day, so I can afford incompetencies like this. Stug. Can I call them Stugs if I just call them Stuckas? You know, so you have balance, right? You gotta be consistent. Careful, the Stuckas are dive bombing us. Yeah, Barbarossa 41 Army Group Center from GMT Games. So interesting thing about Barbarossa, an interesting thing about Army Group Center. I'm reading this Kiev 41 book, and if it's accurate representation, seems like Guderian was quite a bit of had trouble getting along with his superiors a lot. I don't know, honestly, he wasn't one of the folks that I followed. Because unlike Joel, there are generals who, I shouldn't say my favorite generals, but folks that you like to follow where they're at. They seem to be at the right place, or they're at battles that you find interesting. Not necessarily people that you think are, great individuals or anything like that. Did I show you this? You might get a kick out of this, Nordic. You may have seen this the other morning. I don't remember if you were around or not. But when I pulled out my 20 millimeter figures, there was this set that I found. Oh, it's not here. I'm gonna dig for it. I think you'll get a kick out of it. And it's a shame that it didn't make this for all countries. But, so many things in this hobby are very Teutonic-centric. And, sure, you need bad guys, but you also need somebody for the bad guys to fight. Great, not all where it went. No, I have something instead. It's this German leader pack. They had all these German leaders, and it had Model and Rommel, and I don't know if Guderian was one of them. The only thing distinguishing about him is his little half-ass little mustache. He's around here somewhere. That's what I was going to show you. But looks like I've misplaced it. Here's my old MPC figures from a kid, and we got some SHE models in there, or whatever. Remember those? My favorite ones were the Africa Corps, the Africa Corps guy, and the Desert Rats. Freaking love those guys. Some of those poses are pretty good. Oh. He had that problem in France, 1940. I don't know much about him. I really don't know much about him. I found out something crazy. It's cheaper to buy Vallejo paint from England than it is to buy Vallejo paint here in the States. How is that possible? So, if you need to buy paint, give this place a shot. It's called Spray Gunner. They're in Tampa. Well, don't call them now. They're going to have a really hard time getting a package out. But I thought their shipping was really, really affordable. That's where I got my AK stuff, and I believe they carry Vallejo. They're on the web. They have a pretty good website too, and they're in Tampa. They're in a little town called Oldsmar, which is I got it like in 2 days, and shipping was like $3.79. He had that problem in France, 1940. He disregarded orders and blitzed right to the Atlantic. Well, he wasn't the guy that stopped at Dunkirk. I don't know much about him. He's not one of those folks I followed. The first World War II book like that I read was Panzer Battles by von Mellenthin. And even though some of the stuff may not be true, whatever, I think that guy was in a lot of really interesting places. Because he was in the desert. He was in... I want to say he was in Wintergewitter. He may not have been. He was definitely on the Eastern Front. He was at Kursk. Definitely in a lot of interesting places. I read that back when I was doing Command Decision, so I thought that fit really well with that. I'm going to add a little bit of green, but not a whole lot. We're going to make sure this stays nice and dark. And we'll add lightener to it, probably from here. I think this isn't too green. Just so it stands out from the other package. Yeah, I think this is good right here. We'll lighten this up. And I think that's it, right? We got to do the, how did I get them? How did I make a mess? We got to do the tracks. This is taking a lot longer than I thought it would, but that's okay. That's okay. I think this is going to look pretty freaking cool when I'm done with it. Like I said, I want to show these Shermans some love. They're not my favorite tank. They're not sexy, but they can have a lot of personality, and they obviously were very important. And I got a lot of GIs that could use one of these guys in a pinch. And I got plenty of them Nazi bad guy tanks to do. But lots of people give those guys the time of day. So let's start with the less exciting, the stuff that most people don't get excited about. Just read the Israelites used this Stug as late as 73. I thought it was the Syrians. Stug was a good vehicle. Yep. Yeah, the gun was decent. You don't really need anything better than a 75 L48. It works just fine. I mean, there's only a couple things you can't deal with. What? anything that starts with the J, JSU, JS2s. It probably can't deal with an SU-52, SU-152. There's not that many of those running around. On the Western Front, Jumbo might give it some trouble. Jumbos are pretty rare. Pershing, might as well give up at that point. You know, it's March 45. What are you doing still fighting the Western Allies? You know? Pretty much take out everything else. Front of a Churchill will be problems. There's not that many Churchills. If there's a Churchill coming, just throw it in reverse and get out of there. You can outrun a Churchill probably in reverse. Of course, you may not get far, and you know the German tank breaks down. You know, but there's that. Only gripe I would have is a vehicle's got to have a coax machine gun or a whole machine gun. Any kind of a weapon like that without something that can fend off infantry is in trouble. Like this Stug has no machine gun, no coax machine gun. So for a skirmish game, it's perfect. You know, because you can't dominate the battlefield with a machine gun that you can't deal with. Paraguay is activating Shermans and Stuarts. Why? Is there some kind of a... Is there a who's getting uppity down there in Paraguay? They had a big armor battle down there. In the... Was it the 30s or the 40s? Something like that. There was a big armor battle. Well, big for, you know, South America. They're going to activate the Shermans and Stuarts and send them to fight in the Ukraine. Why else would they be activating them? I don't know. I don't pay attention to the news. You have to fill me in. That cheater from Willy Wonka. Cheater from Willy Wonka. Who was the cheater from Willy Wonka? I don't remember. I've only seen it a couple times. It's been a long time. What was the German kid, right? It was the cowboy kid. It's the one that she wants it all, Daddy. What's her name? Veruca Salt, right? And then the girl that eats the blueberry thing and turns into a blueberry. That's it. Who am I missing? They're mobilizing the Shermans and Stuarts to go get that cheater. The guy from Paraguay, some casino owner, news to me. He forged a golden ticket and got caught. You guys sober? just checking. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, man. When they made that movie, and I'm talking about the original one, I'm not talking about the remake, because I honestly don't think much of what's-his-face. Again, actors come up and I can't think of who they are. I never Johnny Depp. I don't think much of Johnny Depp. But the original one. You think anybody that was working on that original one could have passed a drug test? I don't think they could have. I had drug testises had not been invented yet. I don't think in 1971. I think that movie, the year I was born in. What do you get when your crew is all drunk? All right. Let's put this on here and let's hold this away from me so I can seize what I done did. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Kev is drunk and not sharing his party foul. I actually had somebody offered me some vodka at the convention. I took them up on it. So I drank some straight vodka and it was actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. It didn't even have ice in it. It was pretty decent. Now, you know, I took extremely small sips and it actually sobered me up a little bit. That's good. I'll have to remember that when I'm playing Russians. Where did I get my lamp? Ottlite. Ottlite. There's a craft store here. They probably have it in Pennsylvania called Michael's. And at the time, they were running them for 50% off. And these things ran about $100. And so I got 2 lamps for $100. One's here, is this one, and the other one's in the other room, which is exactly the same. It runs, I think the bulb for this is a 24 watt. And you don't drink. I rarely drink. I like to talk about it, but you see me, I'm not having drinks with you guys. I'll fall asleep. I don't mind not drinking. I just don't want somebody telling me I can't have a drink. Like, who the hell do you think you are? But it's not enough. It's not anything I ever need, you know. I need it at work, and I can't drink at work, so I can pretty much deal with not having it anywhere else. I'm pretty happy with that. Subtle, and yet, there it is. Okay, let's be careful we don't scrape this up. Do we have any black that's alive? We're getting there. I'm enjoying the shit out of this. I don't know if you guys are, but I am. Let's put the little machine gun. Some people that paint machine guns in grays and stuff, I can't do that. It looks okay when other people do it. I'm not buying into that. Okay, and then the other one is in the hull. Here she is. We got some rope that's tied around these logs. Let's go there next. Do we have, what color did we use? This is for the sandbags. Okay, but it wasn't. Let's grab Buffy. I think buff is the color, would work fine. Yep, there it is. Had a learning moment on tank warfare today. Had some Valentines assisting an infantry battalion defend against a German infantry attack. Apparently, Valentines had no HE in early 43. So they had no HE for the 6-pounder? I think that the Valentines that do not have and welcome Ben, the Valentines that have the 2-pounder are pretty ugly. I think the Valentines with the 6-pounder, whatever they are, the Mark 9s, I don't even remember what they are. I don't think I've ever played a game where I've had those. Look a lot better. I think the turret's a little different. I was playing a game. I wasn't playing a game. I was looking to see if they still had a copy of the old Stalingrad game by V for Victory. Because some of those you can actually play online through a browser. And I found out through that that Matrix has a game called Stalingrad, and I looked into it, and it had all kinds of little units. And what caught my attention is there was some Stugs units on the board, and it told me like what battalions they were, and that was pretty cool. I'm like, oh man, that might be cool to get, just so you know where some of the units are. And well, that's where I left it. That's where I left it. You know, as a 35th scale modelers, there's just some German units I'm just never interested in. You know, I'm not interested in the 24th Panzer with the leaping horse. They just don't do anything for me. I was never really into Stalingrad. And I was never into the SS units either. British 6-pounders, no HE early war. Huh. Just AP. May have accidentally driven them over a minefield in protest to the choice of ammunition. I was watching a movie with a friend of mine way back in the day. I believe it's called The English Patient. I don't remember anything about the movie other than it was really, really long. But one of the characters, I think it was a nurse. I'm going to say she was a nurse. I don't remember. I've only seen it one time and no plans on seeing it again. Was serving with some Indian unit. And I remember I'm watching the movie. And at one point she bolts and they're like near a minefield. And she like runs out to the minefield. And I remember watching the movie, a buddy of mine, and I was saying, oh my goodness, what are you doing, you crazy woman? And I forget exactly what it was that I said. And right after I said it, the Indian character that was chasing after her said exactly the same thing word for word. You just had to be there. But, you know, obviously they wrote his script correctly because that's exactly what you would do, you know. She ran off in a minefield by herself. Just remember it being really boring and not very sympathetic to the main character. It's like I didn't care what happened. But it was much better than Thin Red Line, which it wouldn't take much to be better than that. Although I will give that another shot because I think the reason I didn't like it was because I was expecting the movie to be about A, and it ends up being about Q. You know. But at least I finished Thin Red Line, unlike Hacksaw Ridge, which I did not finish. I'm like, I'm done with this. I did not care for Hacksaw Ridge. All right, let's bring this up a little bit more. Okay. Now it's time to do these damn wheels in black. Or blackish. It's going to be damn near black. And we're going to dry brush over them lightly with the colors that come up from the earth. But not too much. I don't want any dust effects. I actually don't like those. People do, hey, get these for the dust effects. It's too much. It's way too much. All right, let's flip this around. I am really running out of space here. And I've got plenty of black. So let's get some white in there with it. Tiny little bit. Let's paint all these things that would be rubber. And we'll do these wheels before we do the track. And honestly, I got to look at the track and find out what the hell it is. I don't remember. It's got a lot of rubber in the tracks. There's rubber in the US. We'll look at it from this angle and then we'll flip it. Idler wheel doesn't have it. I could probably honestly get away with not even doing this. So if it's not everywhere it needs to be, I'm not too worried about it because this is going to get dry brush with the dirt color. All right, let's flip this over here. So I had a hell of a time identifying this Stug, and I finally identified it as being an E. One thing it says for the E, the B, the C, and the D did not have a machine gun with them. But the E did, but it was not mounted in the hull. It does not have a hull machine gun. So I'm not really sure, and it doesn't have a rooftop mount. So I'm not sure how that works. That's good enough for me there. All this is going to get dry brush big time, and these are not very prominent at all. I'm not sure how that works with the... I need to look at something for a little bit, for a moment. I know these are the wrong pattern tracks, and those pads would be rubber colored. What about the inside? I have a feeling they're rubber colored as well. This is a cool freaking picture. This is the center of town in Italy somewhere. Check this out. Look at all those different Shermans. If only this was in freaking color, that's awesome. That is an awesome photo. Italy, the forgotten front. M18 tank destroyers, a lot of Sherman 76s, M4A3 76s, a lot of 76 millimeter armed tanks. Well, it was April 21st, 1945, so they had made their rounds. That's almost as many T34s as you got from the convention. I got more T34s than that. I actually wasn't really interested in the early ones because they were pretty uncommon compared to some of the other ones. I really wanted the 43s with the Mickey Mouse turrets and the Chelyabinsk turrets. Actually, the 42 ones are okay. I got so many that I can actually, I feel like I can risk painting them with some snow camo and them look okay. The problem with the snow camo is that even if you do it right, it still looks like shit. You know what I mean? Like if you paint the snow camo with the brush strokes, like those, the people did them, the crew painted them up. It just looks shoddy. And I guess that's how you know if you did it right. If it looks shoddy, you did it right. But, yeah. The problem with the T-34s is it's hard to make them with the hatches open. Because as soon as you make it with the hatch open, you put the commander sticking out of the hatch. Nobody's on the gun. Because he is the gunner also. So if you have a commander peeking out of the hatch, that vehicle's not going to fire on you. Would have made a lot more sense to have a dedicated gunner, right? And then you have the loader doubles as the assistant machine gunner. You got a guy in the hole, all he's doing is firing the machine gun. We're only going to fire him if somebody's close. So what's he doing other than that? He's sitting on his lily. He's obviously not operating the radio because early T-34s rarely had radios. So he's just some slacker that's sitting up there waiting for infantry to get close to fire the whole machine gun. So it made sense to me, I'm thinking, that make him do double duty. Make him the loader, It's unlikely you're going to be firing a whole machine gun and a main armament at the same target. And now you got a dedicated commander that can kind of coordinate everything. But I am looking at it from a Western viewpoint, so probably not correct. I'm a big Kursk fan. I used to be. What I don't like about Kursk is its prepared positions. So, although I do have a pretty cool scenario book. I have several of these. I'm going to show this to you. It's your own fault for bringing up the K word. Kursk. Cool battle, not so good submarine. These books are excellent. And I think they're relatively out of print now. One of my favorite units when I used to model German stuff, Großdeutschland. The helmet. And this is all skirmish scenarios that are based on Kursk. And the first one involves a little forward outpost like the one I bought. Like that little bunker. And just the Germans have 2 infantry squads and a platoon headquarters. And the Soviets have a machine gun team, 3 guys, a rifle squad, and a forward observer team. Pretty simple. So, yeah, some of these have a lot of vehicles in them. But some of these scenarios are just, the thing is, I thought about this today, I'm going to bring it up. Some of these scenarios you look at them and they just don't seem right. Like for instance, okay, here's a scenario called Verkopenie. Verkopenie. I don't know. Verkopenie Woods. Okay? It's a scenario on a really big board. Each one of these squares is supposed to be a foot. So this is 4 by 8, which honestly I think probably needs to be doubled for these things. But regardless, Elements, this is the German forces. Elements of the Grenadier Regiment and the Panzerjäger Battalion, Grossdeutschland Division. Grossdeutschland was a elite unit, like Panzerlehr was for the army. It's the two elite units I can think of right now that was in the Wehrmacht. Those two. I'm sure there was other ones, but those are the two that stand out. So they would have like first pick on things. Now this is Kursk, so we're talking about mid 43. They have 2 Panzerjäger Marder 3s. Okay, cool. 1 50 millimeter anti-tank gun. Why isn't it a 75 millimeter anti-tank gun? You mean they couldn't get a Pack 40? The Pack 40 had already been out for over a year. You know, so is it for play balance? It's just silly. You know, the Pack 40 had been out for a long time. But I ended up getting, I know you guys aren't fans of not Little Big Man Studios, Too Fat Lardy stuff. Little Big Man Studios and Too Fat Lardies. They sound the same, a silly name for a company that makes products. No, the Too Fat Lardies make a scenario book for their chain of command called Untitled, which is the relief attack to Stalingrad, which I'm a big fan of. I don't like Stalingrad that much, but I like Wintergewitter. It's cool. It's in the snow, and you know it's the 42 snow. It's the 42-43 snow, and there's some scenarios and scenario ideas in there. Those set of rules, you purchase things, and there's things you can buy. You can buy in them in the core force and add to them a Flammpanzer 3. The only problem is the Flammpanzer 3s didn't come out until mid-43. They weren't around in December of 1942. So, oops. I guess you're not supposed to know that if you play the game, but... Littlefield Tank Collection went up for auction. What is that? Grossdeutschland was in France in 1940, yes. Big Germany, that's right. Panzerlehr got the hell beat out of it in Normandy, that's right. They were your first units for Flames of War. You like Too Fat Lardy stuff. Okay, somebody here didn't like it. I forget who it is. I don't know anything about it. I just think they're a silly name. I think there's things about Chain of Command that I like. I've played it once. I've watched most of the videos they have on there. Of them playing. It seems to play pretty quick. I wouldn't want to play with that little weasel guy though. He's out of there. The Richard guy seems to be pretty cool. He's one of the lards. I don't know. He's not fat enough to be a lard as far as I'm concerned. He's gamer medium. All right. Let's look at this from afar. The lighting is so strong. It looks even browner on the screen than in real life. I think they look pretty freaking good, man. Littlefield was California and possibly the largest armored vehicle collection. O Group. Grossdeutschland fought at Stone. Yeah, there's that scenario in them, right? There's that scenario for squad leader. I think it's called Counterattack at Dawn or whatever. They're sitting there with a couple of studs and they're trying to fight back Charbis. Like, oops. The Charbie is freaking nasty. The Charbie is nasty. That 47 millimeter gun that the French have is a good gun. It's a better gun than anything the Germans have. Problem is, it's a one-man turret. So he's the commander, he's the gunner, he's the loader, he's the guy that takes the order through the drive-through, he does the laundry, he washes a soldier's socks. That guy's overtaxed. People need to step up, you know? You got a one-man turret, you don't have your nation is not a team player. All right. The tracks. I think, aren't the tracks all, I mean, I know they have rubber pads, so most of it you're going to see is rubber on them. And the pins are metal on the end. What about the inside? What about the inside of the tracks on a Sherman? I need to look that up. Let me see if I can find this quickly. Any of you guys remember? I don't remember. I know there's different powdered tracks. None of them look like this. These are just, armor fast, which is fine, painting tracks on a Sherman. I don't think I've ever painted tracks that had rubber. Well, I've never painted a Sherman. Images. Show me a completed model and see if I buy it. That's what I like to do. See if I fall for it. It looks like they're all rubber and then they've got metal pins through there. At least this boring ass pattern. This guy's got a how to paint a vehicle. Yeah, I already take long enough to do it this way. I'm not doing pigments and dust and all that. I'm not going to live forever. I got like 50 vehicles to paint. And I don't mind them looking a little like gaming pieces. The track should be padded in dark rubber. Go with a rubber color, then lightly dry brush metal on the edges. That's what I think. The problem is the turret, and the 40mm gun is in the hull, not the turret. You sure about that? Sharpie's got a 47 in the turret and a 75 in the hull, like a Lee. It's basically like a Lee, with more armor than a Lee. I don't know. It might have equivalent armor to a Lee. A Lee's, 1940 would have great armor. One I like using at World of Tanks is the AMX 40, which I don't think came out yet, and it just looks like the Duck. It is just a two-man tank. I think it's a two-man tank. It might be a three-man tank. Just all sloped all to hell. It just looks like something off of a science fiction movie. And it's slow as dog shit. It's just really slow. Yeah, the only one that's really weird that I can think of right now is the M1139, which is the original tank that the Italians had in the desert, and it has I think a 37, whatever its main gun tank. It's in the hull, and it just has a machine gun in the turret. M1139. I'm not sure if it might be a 47 in the hole. It might be a 37 in the hole. It's one of those two. And yeah, it's got a turret, but then it's got a machine gun on a turret. T-34 track pins went from hull side of tank. There's a piece of metal welded to the hull design and knock the pins back in place should they work their way out. That's right. I remember reading about that. We don't have to be super precise with this. Not that I want to be sloppy with it. But this is all going to be dry brushed. Yeah, I want to go a little bit darker than that. I'm going to go ahead and paint all that. This is going to be polished just from going around and making that awful sound. Can't sneak up on somebody in one of these. Came back from the show on Sunday, and I'm like, all right, Huns are over. Let's play some roller tanks because I wanted to do it. Pfft, I couldn't do that for very long. Then I switched to War Thunder. I couldn't do that for very long either. I don't see how people pay real money for that stuff. I'm like, man, I get bored of it just if it's being free. I hadn't played in probably 2 years. Just something to do, give you motivation to do the real thing. So once we're done with this, the next step is going to be find the decals, right? We're going to find the decals, figure out where we're going to put them. And gloss coat it. Is it raining there? How do you hear that? Yeah, I think somebody's taking a shower. You get that? You have womanly hearing. Yep. And we got gas, so even if we lose power, we should still have hot water because that's important. Germans discovered they couldn't penetrate whole armor of a Char B, but could penetrate the turret. They also had the side vent as a weakness. That's right. Yep. I remember that. Okay. I'm probably not going to do the silver touch-ups until it's until I've done the decals. So we can go mess with the decals when I'm done with this, which shouldn't be too much longer. It's just like watching paint dry, literally. Most of the French tanks had good frontal armor, so Germans charged in, mixed it up, and then shot them in the sides. You know what? A lot of the French tanks had armor almost as good as the sides. I mean, it's less, but I bet all of the French tanks had slow turrets. I bet you money they all had them. And you know, unless you're playing a game that's really tactical, you don't really see how the German tanks have an advantage. But you know, the Panzer IIIs and IVs, they didn't have the best guns and they didn't have the best armor, but they had the best communication at the time and coordination. And on a tactical level, that kind of stuff makes sense. Just to give you an idea, I know I've talked about face of battle, okay? So, you know, you've got, each character has 2 actions, right? So let's just propose kind of a little scenario of, you know, you've got a tank and how it would operate in the face of battle. So when the gunner's action goes up, he gets to fire the gun, right? Assuming it's loaded. So if the action for the gunner, if the loader comes up before the gunner, he's like ready to load and the gunner's kind of screwing around. Because a lot of this is stuff that happens in a split second, so to speak, right? So the loader loads when his card, we'll call it a card, comes up. It's a chip. I use chips instead because then you don't have to shuffle them. You just throw all the chips in a big bag, mix them up, and you pull one out, and that's whose action it is. Everybody gets an action every turn. You could get 2 in a row. It's unlikely, but you could go twice in a row. So say you're the loader comes up. What can he do? He can do several things, but one of the things his main job is loading. But if there's already a shell in the chamber, he's just going to end up taking a pass on that one. So then the gunner comes up, right? So what's the gunner do? The gunner's going to fire the weapon. He fires the weapon, it hits or doesn't hit. Now it's empty, right? But the gunner's already used one action. If you have a commander in the vehicle, he has one or two chips, depending on his ability, that he can get other people to activate on his own leadership chip, irrespective of his own chip. So as soon as he gets one of those, he's going to either tell the gunner to fire or the loader to load, depending on the sequence that the other previous ones happen. And it's the same thing when you have like a leader that's with a machine gun. You know, if the machine gun jams, then he can activate the loader and tell him to unjam it. So when the machine gunner's turn comes back up, it's ready to go. Or, you know, if it isn't jammed, he can tell the machine gunner to fire a second time. So it's that whole coordination, having an extra person there that can kind of, you know, mold yourself as to what you need from turn to turn. You're hearing music as well. Not here. Do you have a decal softener? I do. Yep, I do. I got Microsol and Microset. Okay, I think that should cover it pretty well. Oh, F it. I'll go ahead and do it now. And I'm going to use the darkest one. We don't need it super, super duper shiny. Where is it? Iron Warriors. Rick's probably not on here. He's probably playing with his new car. I'm guessing. How much fun can you have with an automatic, though? But this means these vehicles are significantly less loud than a Panzer, because Panzers wouldn't waste rubber on this. For sure. Maybe the microphone. I don't know. Let me turn it down. Let me know if it's better or worse. What time is it? 9 something? I gotta find out where the hell I put the decals at. And we can fine tinker this stuff later, just to get all this stuff on here. I don't want to spend a freaking week doing each one of them. I'm never going to get through them all. It's not like I have a timeline, but you know, we do need to do other things. Now the static is gone again. Let them eat static. That's right. Oh, crapsicle. Forgot something I meant to do. the worst popsicle flavor, crapsicle. This tastes like only one guess. All right. All right, let me find the Decals, as they call in the UK. The Decals. I put them somewhere where they wouldn't get wet, because that would be, you know, it took me a little bit of trouble getting them. And they showed up while I was in the middle of 50 things. Oh, I found a pair of tweezers. Cool. Let's see. And I'm actually not opposed to putting a marking on the roof, as long as it's not a British vehicle. That's a no-no then. I do not like how that looks. Let's get rid of some of this stuff. And just think, I'm more organized than most people. Let's get this stuff out of the way. I don't know where the hell they went. We can close this up. Yeah. I don't think it's raining out here. But there is someone in the shower, and it's the next room over, and it's not that loud. I can barely hear it, but sometimes the mic picks up things that I certainly won't pick up. All right. Are they here? No. Are they here? No. Well, if I can't find them, then we're going to have to call this session off until I find them, because that's what's next. By God, that's what's next. Guess I should have stopped painting the Huns and worked on them immediately when I found them. When they arrived. It's 15 millimeter, relatively large. There they are. Hidden in plain sight. Made by Peddinghaus. All right, I go use the restroom. I'll be right back. All right, let's see what we're dealing with here. So if I remember correctly, I used a little trick that I heard. I did decals on my Russian vehicles, and it was so long ago I don't remember. I did a little trick that I think worked really well. Obviously, we're not going to do yellow ones. See if I got that stuff here. I believe I do. Is it down here on the ground? Here it is. I read somewhere to use this as a gloss coat, and I had to special order this Pledge Floor Care, and you just brush it on. It's water based, and that way you don't have to seal the whole damn vehicle in gloss. And I believe that's what I did last time, and it worked like a charm. However, I need to find a little something to put it on. Okay. So we're going to have this, make sure we have a good coating. Let's check out and see where we're going to put these things. Now there's some really small ones here you can't make out. And there's also some round ones. So let me take a look at some of them. The round ones, I actually like how they look better, but they're normally on the front of the hull. And I'm not going to cut half of one out and have it peeking underneath the front of this. That's way too much free time on their hands. So okay, it's got a regular one on the skull, on the side of the turret. Here's a round one, but it's in Casino. It's in Italy. Here's another Italy one that's round. Maybe they were more common in Italy. Yeah, see? Here's one that has a round one on the front, and then one's on the side. So we're not going to put one on the log side. I'm not even going to try to have it peek through on the other side. We're going to put one on this side and one on each side of the turret. Okay, that's what we're going to do. So, I can barely make out the white ones. All right, so a large one there for that side. And then the turret, let's see if we're going to use a large or a medium. I'm going to do 3 large ones. And let's get a new blade. And then we'll cut all 3 of them out, and then we'll cut them out individually. And I have a feeling that I'm probably going to end up having to get more of these. Now I could do like that Portuguese guy who's just paints them on him all himself, but I don't know if I want him to look that sloppy. He does a good job with it. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm probably going to freehand some Russian curses on some of the vehicles. I call them Russian curses. What book is that? That's a Squadron Signal Sherman book that I've had probably since about 1990. Yeah, this thing. You don't need books anymore. You got the internet. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have no damn internet. Yeah, these are not Little Big Man Studios ones. Thank goodness. Oh, you hear that? That's a gust. If we lose power, wouldn't that be a fun time to lose power? All right, we got time. We got some time to do that. Let's put this future on, and let's get these decals. Nowhere near anything wet. Let's put them on the computer so we can go the whole hog and lose everything. The tank chieftain talks about the star on the side was right over the ammo storage, so it gave the Germans target to aim at. He's got a lot of really interesting information, but he's just not much fun. He's a little too clinical for me. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. He definitely knows what he's talking about. He's just not fun at parties. I'm more fun at parties than he is. I think model airplane builders used to use it to make canopies shine. Yeah, I think you're right. Are we glued shut? Well, I don't give a shit. I'll dip the thing in here. Let's not spill this. It smells pleasant enough. All right, let's make sure you use a brush. That does not had a past history of nastifications doing nastifications. In other words, use a new one. Which I may be hard to press to find one. All right, let's not push our luck. Let's use one of these. These are real brushes. All right, so one's going to go right here. And the other one's going to go here. And the other one's going to go here. Now I don't know how long that takes to dry. I may have to wait it overnight just to be safe. I probably should. But I like that I could just locally use that. I believe that's what I use for the Russians, because stuff actually smells pretty good. And it's discontinued, I think. It's some other project or something like that. You would kill to be at a party with me. I don't know about the chieftain. The chieftain's he's just too clinical. He just never Did you see the episode with him and Lendy Beige go and crawl inside of a Churchill tank? And Lendy Beige is a hoot, man. I think that guy's naturally on some, he's high on meth or something like that. He's like on natural meth. Okay. I actually had straight vodka over the weekend, sipping on that. 2 ounces or maybe 3 ounces, really slow. It's not It even sobered me up. All right, I think I'm going to have to let this dry overnight just to be safe. We don't need any disasters. What time is it? 10? I want to see what this looks like. All right, how about, I'm not reading how long it takes. I don't roll like that. Let's set this off this side. Let's mess with the stud. This is why we're trying to do more than one thing at once, so you always stay moving. Let's see what condition that, I'm sorry, did I say it wrong again? The Stug. The Stug. I don't know who the hell the manufacturer of this thing is, but look at this. It's like, why would you break it down like this? All right, let's put the shitty blade back on. Hopefully I didn't put it too far. I didn't. It's right here. Just like I have a certain blade I use to cut out flags. This epoxy has definitely been softened. And then after the decals are up, we're going to have to paint a fake serial number. That'll be my job tonight. I'm trying to fall asleep. Maybe in the morning. Not serial number, license number. It's one of the two. It starts with a 3. It's like a 6 or 7 digit number, like 306743 or whatever. It says USA on it. We're going to hand paint that. And then we're going to end up, when we weather it, we're going to go over it. So, it's not really that. Okay, this is the idler wheel in the back. This one fits on this side. Okay, we just want to make sure we get a good bond on this thing. And the muffler side is the one that goes towards the back, which is the whole reason I even took this apart to begin with. Sometimes people put things apart when they don't come with instructions, and if they don't have a picture reference, I don't really blame them. I remember there's a guy that I knew when we were doing naval stuff, and he put on the conning tower. He glued the conning tower of an American battleship backwards. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. This is supposed to glue at the front, at the back. This is sloppy as all get out. Okay, and once that's glued like that, then this goes here, and then there's the other one. Did I not bring it down here? This one goes like this. This is all bent to shit too. Oh man. If I break this, it's not that big of a deal. I can fix it. Not like you gotta make it so the tracks move or something. There we go. Here we go. I did also saw when he went to the Hetzer. He's like 6'4". Yeah. He's got a lot of information, but he's a little too clinical. I watch a lot of reviews, or used to, and there's some people that are media personalities, you know, within our circles that are better at it than others, or maybe not. Maybe that's not the correct way to say it. They appeal to your style better than others. There's a couple of board game guys that I listen to, and honestly, they're pretty boring, and their meter is really boring. But I find them like calming to listen to. So, you know, whatever floats your boat. I'm sure I annoy some people, and I don't really care. That's their problem. Not my problem. Ooh, that was a horrible sound. Okay, I don't need to clean all this stuff up. After all, it is mud. No. This will be Panzergrau, because these guys were used up through late 42, really. After that, they're harder to find, because this has the short 75 millimeter barrel, the same one that would be on a Panzer IV up to an F1 model. 75 L24 for you Command Decision fans, which does have hollow charge rounds. A limited amount of them. This was never sanded down or scraped off that mold line. Same thing over here. Let me see if I can get away with doing this. Should be able to, is what I have this thing over here for. Nice. Nice. He does blog now, audio only. Not sure that'll last. The Chieftain? Le Chiton? I don't know. The World of Tanks is Russian, so he works for the Russians. Honestly, I find his accent a little annoying, because it's like somebody says, "Oh, it's an Irish accent." Well, it doesn't sound like any Irishman I've ever heard. Not sing-songy enough. I just think he's less low energy. I like high energy folks. I'm a high energy person, I think. Sure see Mitch and I playing the steel game. We both played French, and We were having too much fun. Both on the same side. Keep that handy. All right. Now, with epoxy, this needs to be flush on the front, and this can be wherever the hell it needs to be on the back. I probably need to do it in 2 steps. And I probably do not need to be frugal with the epoxy either. Let's just glue the living shit out of this thing. All right. Let's find us a... Anybody who know who makes this thing? It's the assembly method is like, I have no idea who the hell it is. It's definitely old school. Definitely old school. Ugh. Come on. All right, I've seen him do some things with his blonde girl. Livens things up a bit. The chieftain? The state of Florida shut down for the hurricane. I heard earlier your governor issued a state of emergency. I think they do that just so they can get federal funds. But the whole state isn't shut down. But I don't plan on leaving the house tomorrow. Or Friday, for that matter. I'd like to run this until 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, we'll get a new update. Yeah, there's a lot of epoxy here on purpose. See if we can do all 3 of these glues at the same time. All right, let's not be frugal with this stuff. There's some girl that does I want to say I saw her do some kind of how to play Axis and Allies or whatever. And everybody was like gaga because it was like a girl. But I'm like, I live in a college town. I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of desensitized to anything under an 8. I'm not really in the market for any of that anyways. But if you're not an 8, I'm not really paying attention. All right, that's going to be glued there. I think I'm going to need to wait a little bit. And then this is the front, right? So this one goes on this side, and this one goes on this side. You got to be careful when you're putting those things together, and don't have 2 of the same side. You're up a creek. Shane talking about it works for old tanks people, so YouTube. Want to say MMS? I had one. It's not MMS. And the reason why it's not MMS is that is really sloppy, the details. It's not consistent at all. And I don't never seen MMS be this many different pieces. Not the hull. I mean, the hull would be cast in with the top there. This might be an added challenge, but hey, I got this thing unglued. That's amazing in and of itself. That's amazing in and of itself. Well, I see why this person fell for it, because it looks like this notch is in the wrong place. It isn't on this side. We'll let this set a little bit before we get ahead of ourselves. Joan Sank, welcome. Sacred John, Sanctified John, welcome. Chieftain with a blonde girl. Huh? Can't even say that I've seen any tank stuff with a. Okay, that's where it needs to be on this side. What about over here? Oh, come on, don't shift on me. Yeah, shifty dude. I'm just checking to see if I gotta bend this thing. Maybe I should take some of this off here. One at a time, if I remember correct. Right, it came in a small cardboard box. At the time, it was a great model. No, I don't have a problem with this. I can put multiple piece Essex elephants together. Didn't know there was a manufacturer called One at a Time. Is that what you called it? At one time. Oh, at one time, not one at a time. When you mentioned that, Nordic was talking about the Asian and the blonde. I thought you meant one at a time. Yes, one at a time, please. We need a break between sessions. Oh man, okay, that's probably gonna glue there. Oh, is it even remotely in the right place? No, it needs to be like that. I need to just glue that mother like a mother. All right, here it goes. It's getting pretty thick. Come on. Getting stringy. At one time, never heard of them. I know when I was doing this, one of my least favorite manufacturers for figures, I'm okay with their vehicles, Britannia. And they were prolific. They're like the Essex of 20 millimeter. Them and FAA. I don't care for either one of them. The vehicles are fine. Look how thick this is. It's like I'm playing with honey. It went from, it's too wet to, holy shit, it dried. Look at that. And I don't think I got enough there to do the job. And I flipped this around. I'm not falling for my own tricks. At one time, huh? You know I'm going to look that up. That's how you learn about shit. Okay. Cool. It's going to go on a stand, so. And it's not perfect. I mean, hell, it's missing part of the track here. We'll mud that up. Also, one thing that's unique to this is I'm going to have to make them out of, well, I don't have to do it. I'm going to choose to do it. Is you can make the headlight things here were almost like one molded piece. They weren't separate on the E. And I should have taken an opportunity to go ahead and glue the gun in. But it's interesting to see at the gun, it's totally hollow. Anyhow. That side looks good. That side looks good. And once this is on a stand, it won't pick it up. This thing is heavy as... It's unbelievably heavy. All right. Remember the time he became... Bender. Did you guys see how I kicked that separate links track's ass a couple weeks ago? That was unbelievably empowering. That's like the 20th century me couldn't have done that. Wouldn't have the patience. I got tools I didn't have before. You know, I didn't have all these epoxy I could count on and drill bits and... Hello. I need to charge that soon. It's down to 1 dot. Futurama. I tried to watch 2 episodes of it. Didn't captivate me. I don't like watching cartoons that look a lot worse than anything I could paint myself. All right. We dry? Yeah. All right. What order does it go in? Sol and then set, or set and then sol? Tell me. That's microweld. That's not one of them. This is the stuff that smells like oranges. I've had nothing but bad luck with epoxy until I found this one. And it's 2 separate squeegees. Don't get the one where you press one out at once. And this is DevCon. I got this at Ace Hardware, and it was probably $12 for both of these together. Dude, I've had it like 15 years. It was, you know, you can see I'm not super frugal with it. Sol and then set. Got it. All right, walk me through. How do you use it? I'm telling you because the last time I had to watch a video on it. Walk me through. I'm gonna paint put some targets on this guy. Go get my container for the water. I think it's still up here. It's a little, tiny little red thing that... Walk me through. You're the pro. Be my master. Oh, where'd the little red thingy go? It was just tiny little, like almost like a ramekin or something. I'll be right back. I'll get something else instead. lied. Microsoft set is used first. What the hell, man? I can't trust you. I'm going in blind. Take a brush, moisten the area you want to put the decal on, right? Then apply a decal. Once in position, use microsol to soften it to adhere. Moisten with microset over the area first, apply decal. Then when it's set and still damp, apply microsol to soften it. Then use a Q-tip. I don't have Q-tip. Q-tip! I don't need a Q-tip. I could use part of this paper towel. I know what it's for. Make sure you have lukewarm water for the decal to sit in for about 40 seconds. I've seen pictures of more than one tank in the picture. Often the tanks have different combinations of wear and without circle. Yes. This one we're just going to do straight. One of these I don't like the smell of it because it smells like white vinegar. And I swear there's probably somebody out there that likes the smell of white vinegar. Probably the same people that like ketchup. Nastifarian. All right, this is a good pair of tweezers. We should be able to get the nut something. All right, what is it? Microset area, apply decal, set, still damp, apply microsol to soften it. Okay, so we're gonna need some brushes that are clean. Let's lose this water. It is in a precarious place. It is in a very precarious place. This should be fine. Right. I bet the vinegar one's first. Yep, got the tweezers. Dude, these decals are easy shit compared to we're gonna do one at a time too. We're gonna cut these things out. Jeez, give me a second to breathe. I'm not going to switch blades. Well, I should have switched blades. There's your sign. You need to switch blades. Okay. All right. We got all those. All right. I gotta use glasses for every single step. Take a brush, moisten the area you want to put the decal on, apply the decal. Microset. Okay, microset. Which one is this? This one. All right. You go away. Setting solution of decals. It's also a decal remover. Oh, here it is. Brush microset on the model where the decal is to be applied, then dip the decal in water, slide off backing paper into position on the model. Carefully brush more microset on top of the decal. Wait a few minutes for the decal to soften, then place the decal down with a piece of moist paper towel. Repeat as necessary. Use microsol for more decal softening strength. Got it. Okay, perfect. Blue first, then red. Okay. And green is right out. This stuff is great though. It smells like oranges, like orange peel. It's very cool. Non-toxic. Oh, okay. All right. Let's do the big one first. So while this thing softens for about 40 seconds, right? Let's put microset. We'll do the one on the hull first. Oh, vinegar, yeah. I'm just going to do one at a time. We got all night. Damn it, now I want to break out your 1/48 scale bomber. I didn't say anything about 48 scale. That's not the one true scale. Oh, I made a boo-boo. The boo-boo is the decal goes all the way to the end. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was just a star. Shit, what do I do now? Well, I know what I'm going to do. We'll come back to that one on a different tank. Okay, let's cut a different one out. I had no idea that was the case. You need to cut close to the star. Wow, I've never seen that. Like the whole thing started moving. We'll leave that one alone. Still got plenty of that micro set on there. That's what she said. Any coffee left? Water. Be up all night, which would really suck if that power goes out. Your last model was a Type 59 Chinese tank. I can't keep those numbers straight. Is that like their version of a T-54? Wow. It is the whole effing thing. Okay. Let's make sure we've got... It was coming up and then it stopped coming up. Brush more on top. I've never seen decals with the whole thing. Why wouldn't it be cut out in star shaped? Maybe because you wouldn't be able to move it. I don't know. T-54A, okay. What's the difference between that one and the 55? I think there's like a space between the first road wheel and the second one or something like that. I don't remember. Okay, I think I like it right there. So let's grab the Q-tip part. We're not going to use Q-tip. We're going to use paper towel. Wait a few minutes. Press the decal down with a piece of moist paper towel. Moist paper towel. Moist. Okay. And then we'll put microsol on top of it. Okay, go away. The Russian ones I did. They were done so long ago. I don't remember. I didn't realize the instructions were on the thing. I had no problem with them. They look like they're painted on. Again, this is the first time that I was patient enough to do this through all the steps. Allow to dry between applications. If air bubbles become trapped on the decal, prick with a needle. Okay. I'm going to have to do that overnight. No room for something that size. Hang from ceiling. Got $45 back in the early days of the pandemic, and now the kit's going for nearly $100. Looks like turrets are different. Let's just sit it for a bit. You're good to go with the decal. Everything's going for more. Yep. I didn't vote for that. All right, so this is what it looks like. Shit, I can't see it. This vision thing's a pain in the ass. You know that? Yeah. Okay. All right, I guess we'll do the 2 on the turret. We're gonna have to let that one sit. Where's the rest of the decals? Here we go. Let's cut off another big star. You gotta cut it close though. I wasn't expecting that problem. Is it too big? Let's see. Yeah, let's punt on this. Let's put that there. I bet I can reuse that decal. I bet money. Let's put these 2 medium ones and let's cut them closer. There. This is a hell of a lot easier than Little Big Man Studios. Get out of the way. Bugger off. Okay. Get that out of there. All right. Blue then red. Remember, remember. That's pretty noticeable square, to be honest with you. Pretty freaking noticeable. Oh well, if it doesn't work out, doesn't work out. I'd hand paint him, but man, a star, that's a mother. I don't want it to look like I don't know what I'm doing. Made in the USA. Hey, the one thing that's made here. And it's made in Fountain Valley, California. It's funny, we had one of our cranes that worked from Fountain Valley. It's a suburb of Irvine, if I remember correctly. moving around like a water bug. This one looks like it's going to sit better. We had Saul either side. Let's just do them both. Might be one of those things that when you add the gloss coat afterwards is when it looks better. Because I've done stuff like that. As a matter of fact, the Little Big Man Studios looked terrible until I gloss coated them. And it was like, oh yeah. Just paint triangles. Really made me think about that. I know what you're saying, but easier said than done. Just do them how Zhao does them. He just hand paints them, and they look kind of rough, and they still work. And he has a shitload of vehicles. It's probably an understatement. What if there's a life on decals? I got some really old ones for the Germans. Really old ones. Okay, I know it's not finished, but let's put it together and see what it looks like. And we'll gloss coat it and whatever in the morning. It's a lot of steps, man. A lot of steps. And the other side, I guess I could cut half of a star decal and tuck it underneath there or part of it. We're not going to do that. That's unnecessary. You know, I'm not going to cut part of it and put it behind the wood. Nah. That's some extremist shit right there. And we will put the number of the tank. That'll be what I'll plan on doing here shortly. Figure out what it's. You guys aren't seeing the right color. It's extremely bright. A lot of kickback, but let's see if we can get away with doing this. See how you can tell where that... I don't know if we'll be able to fix that. We'll do some other coats. If not, I'll hand paint them. Hell with it. Yeah, we're not going to do a lot of heavy stuff on it. The bags look better in person. You get a lot of like, let's see if I can tinker with this. Let's drop the brightness a little bit. Okay. Okay, that's better. Too much contrast. How about that? Let's exposure offset. That's about what I see. Look at that huge box that the star is off of. Well, it'll either straighten itself out or it won't. And I'm pretty confident that it will. I like the color that it turned out. Definitely. And let's see. Can you guys get a good look at this guy? It's a guy I painted about 20 years ago. Let's see. Who's this guy? Davis, a BAR gunner. And these guys are done with a new... Here's another guy. Martin. Just need to redo their stand so it looks like this with some tufts on it. 30 cal gunner and a 30 cal assistant. So I should redo one of these stands soon so we can have some decent looking... The figure looks fine. It's just the basing looks like shit. Because it's, 1990s crap. And those Panzer colors. Let me show you what this looks like. This is kind of using the same methodology. It's not highlighted all the way, but these are the ones that I ordered. And yeah. Now the first German vehicle in yellow, I'm pretty sure I'm going to do that. Stug. Where is she? Where's that ugly ass thing? Here it is. Oh, here's your favorite vehicle. A crappy model of it, but here's your favorite vehicle. A 232. We'll do, this one will be in Panzer Gray. And obviously we only had spray paint. We did not have the Vallejo stuff on there. Okay, so this is probably the first one I do in Panzer Yellow, because it looks like crap. So if I can make this thing look good, we could kick some ass. Learn more about World War II, yeah. Get ready to learn, dude. World War II is awesome. Well, it's horrible, okay? But it's fascinating. I like the 232 in Panzer Gray when they sent them to North Africa and they kind of like haphazardly had to put yellow on it. So it looks just like heavy dry brush. So strap yourself in for the force feed. Yeah, but I had to push some, well, I like to call push some shadows. See this highlight line here next to the fender? You got to do stuff like that so that the lines of this will come out. And see what I mean? This thing doesn't need chipping. It doesn't need oil stain stuff. The chipping just distracts like you did a shitty job, honestly. But they end up looking better than a real vehicle. Yeah, we'll have to put more microsol off in the morning. But anyways, that's it. Man, the wood turned out nice. Cool. Yeah, and of course the ends are the end of the wood. Hey, it ain't my first rodeo. What's going to be interesting to see is what I end up doing with the tank number here. We'll have to do some research on that. Look at the top of it. Look at the top of this thing. Tony, is that square around the start part of the decal or just because the area? It's part of the decal. It's part of the decal. This entire decal sheet, I've never seen this before. This entire decal sheet is all one freaking decal. These goddamn petting house Germans. This is all one sheet. I thought it would be like the individual stars. It's not. You suggested war tanks to add wheel vehicles, thinking the German ones, well, they did, but French. War Thunder has it. War Thunder, you can have wheeled vehicles. It's the same but different. Anyhow, I'm not going to be discouraged. We'll add some more microsol in the morning, see if that solves it. If that doesn't solve it, then we're going to gloss coat over it, see if that solves it. If that doesn't solve it, then we will remove the decals and hand paint them. Yeah. Surgically remove the stars, I'm not doing that. I ain't got time for that. I'll just hand paint them. And they'll look like, game stuff. Whatever. It's not a big deal. At least I didn't do a bunch of them, then realize it. So, look at the top view. The top view looked freaking awesome. All the contrast, the little packs and stuff. And it hasn't been sealed yet. And I know for a fact when you seal things, it adds like another level of like oomph. Like magic happens, So, anyhow. It's going to have a nickname on it. Maybe Alleyway Annie. What's her name? It starts with an A, so that's pretty cool. What's the name of that? Maybe if you dull coated that squirrel advantage, I'm gonna give it a shot. It's. Let me show you the Russian ones that I did. You compare apples to apples, and the decals disappeared completely. I mean, look at the star on the door. I know it's a red star. It's hard to get excited about that. Alleyway Alley. Okay. This is a BP cast. It's really not a very good model. But man, it turned out okay. Look at that star. It's like painted on. Now, it is an individual star. It wasn't none of this nonsense of, Maybe we'll just call this tank Alley. I don't know if they had alleyways in the 40s. Yeah, they did. Nobody slept in them. Anyhow, can't wait to do a vehicle. I got some cool tankers too. Like some cool tank figures, some U.S. tank guys. And let's be honest, the U.S. tank uniform is pretty stupid looking, but these guys look pretty awesome. You like the Soviet Red Star on their vehicles. Did you see this? Since you don't like commie bastards, I don't like them either. But the Nazis are just as bad. Now that we're in zoomed in mode, let's get tank. I'm real happy with how it turned out, regardless of whether or not the star is going to be a fail or not. Look at this. Wow. I don't know what zoom setting I have it on, but let's leave it here. This is a T-26S turret. And look who's lying under some rubble. Some poor commie bastard. So, not bad for a freaking dollar, huh? That Sherman has extra armor over ammo shortage, yeah. Yeah. Real happy with this. So here's the starter so far on the KV2. Panzer II. See, look, I say Panzer I when I mean Tiger 1, and I say KV2 when I mean Panzer II. Let's see if we can get the camera on the Panzer II. Yeah, this is a Rafam one. See, by the time you end up painting all the road wheels, you end up dusting them and all the, still dusted. Oh, there's some cool terrain here for sure. So, I got too many cool things not to pursue this. 15 mil stuff can wait. 15 mil stuff can wait. Yeah, when you look at tanks for a long time, yep, it is. It's like, how do you forget that stuff? It's like built into your brain. So, anyhow, to be continued. That was a good session. It's a good session. We'll pick this up in the morning. And maybe these will disappear a little bit more. But if not, we will move forward. Okay, folks. Well, until next time, see you later. And thanks for hanging out with me. And we will come back with some more Sherman fun. See ya.